Okay.
That's my best friend. I put this. She's my best friend. My mom gets it.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our July general monthly meeting. So thank you all for coming out. I'm President Edward Paul for the NAACP. So as we do before every meeting, we have a brief moment of silence so that way if anybody want to pray anything before we get started, you can do that. All right, thank you all for that. So as we do before every meeting, we'll go ahead and get started with our committee reports for our general meeting. So I'm gonna go by the committee chairs that I see that are here till the other ones arrive. So I'm gonna start with Ellie. You ready? No, not yet.
No, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. So I'll start with our political action committee chair, Ellie Walker, to give us a report from the June political action meeting.
All right, hey everybody. Okay, so we just had a meeting, so I'm a little confused, but we get June. We had a lot going on. Okay, so the June meeting, which was June 16th, we began by highlighting the minutes from the previous county commissioner meeting and future dates and times, as well as the board of registration and elections meeting. We talked about the recent civic education forum that we had explaining the role and the duties of the Public Service Commission. We then talked about the PSD candidate forum, where we featured the Democratic candidates from District 3. And we encouraged members to watch the recordings if they hadn't yet voted in the primaries for PSD. New business included which has since been postponed, so we didn't actually have this, but it will be coming up again. A running for office virtual forum featuring the Eastern Regional Director of Run for Something. So we are going to have that at a later date to be able to have more kind of a virtual Q&A for that. Let's see, we also talked about recent meetings that President Paul, depending on the meeting, various other people were part of in different, with different elected officials and their teams, kind of just reiterating the importance of continued collaboration. And we're going to continue those all throughout the rest of the fall. I mean, forever if we can, obviously, but we've had some additional ones to just, start having like bridging our communication and our relationship. And then, of course, we're going to come back around before the legislative session starts so that we can kind of be up to date on what's happening, what's not happening, and just make sure we have their ear and we're at the table for the decisions that are getting made. We also talked about the, PSC, a lot of this is happening around PSC and the prime before or in the primaries before the runoff happens. We talked about the disqualification of Daniel Blackman, changes in polling locations, because that was happening, and then details on voting hours, and then the potential for a runoff, which we saw did happen. Then we talked about checking the importance of continuously checking your voter registration status. And if you don't know that website. It's mvp.sps.ga.gov. Because sometime this fall, I don't know if y'all have seen, there's a ginormous all of that. We just had our meeting again on Monday, but our next actual meeting will be August 18th at 8. And so the other thing I'll conclude with is that we did have a runoff for Public Service Commission, but there will be an election in November. So that was, I mean, people came to vote, but for a statewide election, this many people came to vote. So we need more people in November. So we can't drop that momentum. So we are going to do some volunteer get out the vote campaign, I guess you could say, canvassing, phone banking. November 4th is when the election is, but early voting starts October 14th. So our aim is to do the five weeks in October, Saturdays and Sundays. If you're volunteer canvassing, we just ask for 2 hours. So you could do, 1 to 3 shift or like a 3 to 5 shift. We'll have like a, have a bracket of time, time block. There you go. Same thing with phone banking. Phone banking spans over 7 days though. So we just ask for like 3 hours out of your 7 days. Can you phone bank? And it doesn't have to be consecutive. You can do 20 minutes here, 2 hours here, that kind of thing. But we just need people to show up and do that. So we will be sending out, look out in your emails to sign up for that. It'll be like a Microsoft form you can fill out if you're interested in volunteering to Canvas and or phone bank, and you can even put it down to the wire of I'm only available October 5th from 1 to 3 and nothing else, so we have it broken down into each weekend, each time block. And yes, because next year we need everybody. So this is, if you're nervous, for this election, this is a good one to kind of get your feet wet and just go knocking on doors when it's not hostile or anything like that. Get out some door knockers, tell people why it's important, why they should show up to vote. Yeah, so just look out for your emails, and that's pretty much it. Did I forget something? No? All right, that's all I got. Do you have any questions? They spoke.
All right, so at this time, Reese Walker, our youth advisor. So we do got some new young people that showed up to the meeting, so. Well,
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jalen Walker, and I'm the newly elected president of the Gwinnett NAACP Youth Council. NAACP. I'm here tonight to give you a few updates of what the Youth Council is up to. We have been on break during the summer, and we are excited to start back with our regular meetings this Sunday. We'll be meeting virtually every fourth Sunday starting this Sunday, July 27th at 6 p.m. If you haven't joined the Youth Council yet, now is a great time. It's only $10 for an annual youth membership. We're also excited to volunteer with Ms. Shanti for the Back to School Bash on August 3rd. The Youth Council will be in attendance at this event to help support getting kids all the essential needs they need to start school. We have a lot of great things to kickstart this fall, so we hope to see more youth joining our meetings. If you have questions about how to join, please email our secretary at ycsecretary@gwinnett.naacp.org. Thank you. Any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you for that, Mr. President. Only other correction I wanted to make. So the website to check your status is www.mvp.sos.ga.gov. So it's www.mvp.sos.ga.gov. So John looking at me like he ready to go. So I'm gonna let our second vice president, education chair, come up and get a report for the children. You was looking at me like, yeah, I'm ready to speak, man. Let me get that. All right.
So we didn't have one. We didn't have
yes.
one.
But
Yeah, talk about what was scheduled on our agenda for our meeting was our August town hall, which is we're working on the August town hall with GCPS, and it's probably going to be a little later in the month. But that town hall is so that we can have you guys be able to ask the questions that you're interested in asking about the new school year. So generally what they do is, if you pay attention to the work session for this month, in July and August, they set the stage in the work sessions what the year is going to look like. All the new policies and things like that are available in the work sessions at that particular point in time. How they finalize them and all of that, what's going to look like. And so we try to have an information session where we get an opportunity to get a blast on all that information and get it out to the community. But that's basically what we've been working on. We've had some other things that we've had to deal with when it comes to education with the board. So we're working on those things and pushing on trying to make sure we have accountability and oversight. That's difficult what's difficult about oversight is when you have a law in front of you, the law has to be enforced. When everybody who enforces the law, who has the oversight, backs up the person who does the violation, then you don't really have oversight. So what that means is, let's say, for instance, if you have a problem with Gwinnett County Public Schools and you seek a resolution and you go to Gwinnett County, end up in Gwinnett County Superior Court, probably not going to work for you because they tend to back each other up, and that's unfortunate. So we've been working on trying to get better oversight, working with our politicians to create legislation that gives an independent civilian oversight, so that you're not going from, let's say, for instance, if it's a police case, you're not going from the police to the county courts, and the county courts are backing up the police because the county don't want to spend money or pay money for a lawsuit. So it becomes where is the real oversight? So we believe that we need to start working and doing the work towards independent oversight. If you look and try to find out, where would you go if you had an ethics complaint for somebody on the school board? Does anybody know where you would go if you had an ethics complaint? Right. There's not a place. Right. So what happens is if you create an ethics complaint or you have an ethics complaint, they then create an ethics council, but not until you make an ethics complaint. And then it's made up of people from that department. So it's essentially governing themselves. So if you make an ethics complaint, who's going to listen to you? Who's going to give you an honest ear, right? And then we have to pay attention to how the laws are written, right? We filed a complaint against the Board of Education for an Open Meetings Act violation. Where did that go? Open Meeting Act violation. So basically, when they file the superintendent, if you read the law, it says that any of those type of interactions where you fire a public official, those discussions about that removal should be public, so that the public has a way of understanding what's going to happen, how their tax paying, how their tax is going to be used to compensate the individual, and whether or not it's a good move. You should have some sort of say so. The way there are loopholes is that if he has in his contract that so long as you don't fire me for cause, we can do away with the conversation about what the problem is. So we just say it's irreconcilable differences, then I don't need it here. Just pay me out of my contract and I'll go away. So that means that if the board says, we're going to dismiss you for irreconcilable differences. And he says, okay, that's going to be $750,000. And they say, okay, then that's just between them. You don't get to say so. So now you're out $750,000 plus the money it takes to find a new person, plus the money it takes to hire that person, plus the time. The problem with that, and I don't think anybody's paying attention to the problem with that, is now you have a board that's basically able to do whatever they want to because there's really no one sitting in that seat. So the budget was passed without a permanent superintendent. The current forecast for the year is being done without a superintendent. We had a program that we were trying to do. It was called a late bus program, where we wanted the buses to come back around, allow for wraparound services, allow equity and access in terms of people being able to take in after school programs and not have to worry about how to get home, right? So they can play sports, they can do whatever, right? Just like the other kids, because the bus will come back around and take them home. We wanted that so that kids could connect to the schools, because we know you can't correct someone unless you connect with them, right? We know that school climate is tied to a person's feeling of belonging. Right? If I play sports for school, I represent the school, I'm wearing that uniform, then I'm probably going to conduct myself well while I'm doing that, wearing that uniform and making my presence known in the community. When you have no connection to the school, all you do is go there and go home. You're probably not going to conduct yourself well because you feel as if no one cares and you're not connected. So we want to make those connections, and unfortunately, we had that type of relationship with the previous superintendent. We don't have a current superintendent, so it makes it very difficult for us to operate, especially when you have disagreements with the current school board because of the actions that they're taking. So it makes it hard for us to work. So we've been making sure that we pay attention to the laws that they put out. We were hopeful for the SB4 law, but it passed in the Senate, but did not pass in the House. So that's unfortunate because it gave oversight to everyone, which meant that anyone could make an ethics complaint, and that ethics complaint had to be investigated. Problem would still been that it was going to be investigated by their peers. But that's why I think that we should be paying attention to legislation, working with our legislators, and trying to get legislation that allows for independent oversight. You know, and that should be independent oversight for whether it's police officers, school, whatever that you might have a problem with, because if it's contained here in Gwinnett and it's only going from one place in Gwinnett to another place in Gwinnett, Gwinnett is going to take care of itself. You know, it's not going to punish itself unless there's, and what we found in the past is the only people that get settlements and things like that are the people who are injured, and you can't really cover that up. You know, so that's a little different. Somebody got a broken leg, somebody was has a damage that's going to be for the rest of their life. That's a little different. But when it's violations and things like that that have to do with procedures, policies that harm kids, student. You have a question?
Sorry, I was trying to interrupt you. Go ahead. I guess I do have a question with respect to
As an you have to look, but I've advocated, and I've taken cases all the way up to the state board. And then the state board, even though it's a clear violation, uses the technicalities to support the school. Take that to Gwinnett County Superior Court, which we've done. And Gwinnett County Superior Court is in line with the technicality. And I'll give you what the technicality is. The person requested an appeal of a tribunal decision.
Right.
And this is how she did it. Before she made her request for the appeal, she asked a question. She didn't make a statement. The question was, she sent to the Gwinnett County public school system, she sent a letter saying, could you tell me how to process an appeal? Which steps do I need to go through to process an appeal? They said that was her appeal. They said a question was a statement. And because she did not list the things that were violations, that she seemed as violations of her grievances, they said that that question was her appeal and threw her case out because they could not defend the case. That's what I'm talking about. So where you think systems are in place and justice is available to you, it may not be. It may be the illusion. Until you actually try to fight these things, then you see all of this stuff, right? And so as we're out dealing with these things for multiple people, for families, for students, we see it. And when you stand up, it makes it very difficult, hard to be friends, right? When you're asking for something that they don't want to give, when you're pestering them, or when you're shining light on something that needs change. So, but this is the role of the NAACP. This is what we signed up to do. It's in our bylaws. All right, so we're gonna say it. It's not gonna be popular. It's gonna make the room uncomfortable. But it's gonna be that way until we get a proper solution. Because ultimately, the school system is supposed to service the students, not the administrators, not someone with a title, it's supposed to service the students. So that's what we're here for. So our next meeting is on Monday. And we will be discussing moving things forward with our August town hall, as well as talking about some of the directives that we've gotten from the convention with regards to education. And just yesterday, we had our first state meeting of branches when it comes to education committee around the state. So our state committee, our local branch committees got together from around the state, and we're developing the things that we have in common that we'll be working on, and with the state directive is for us to add to our marching orders. So that's what the state of the education committee is. Any questions for me?
Susan? What's the date of the town hall and where?
So it's this Monday, so and it'll be on Zoom. So it's this Monday, so it's the 24th of today. Excuse me. It's the 28th. No, excuse me. No, our graduation is the 20th.
Town hall.
Oh, the town hall hasn't been scheduled yet because we have to get that through. We're going to be doing it with Dr. Taylor. And I actually, as of the work session, because of some of the advances that have happened with within discipline and with the PBS department, I really like to get Director Thigpen to attend because there are some great strides that have been made with regard to discipline. And I think there are some things, some nuances that should be discussed. But we're moving in the right direction. All of this was a part of the blueprint from before. But it's actually starting to have things are moving in the right direction. We have 12 PBS schools of distinction right now. And based on his work session, he forecasts that might move up to 50 schools of PBS. And if you think about that, just before COVID and after COVID, we were sending more schools to alternative schools than the nearest counties combined. And so we haven't had that. Our ODR referrals are down. So over 92% of the overall population of 182,000 plus kids have not had an ODR. An ODR is an office discipline referral. So this idea of working the restorative justice program properly, and I say properly because now all the teachers have been trained and have been in place for about a year now. So you start to see the effects of how the stuff is working. So I'd like to have them talk about those gains as well. And I would say it is very important to pay attention to the work session in August, as well as the work session that's coming up in January. If you want to go back and look at the work session for July. But those are the ones that you should pay attention to because that's where most of the information comes out. It's okay to watch the business meetings at night. I go there, generally, if I go there because I'm parlaying, I want to meet, talk. But the work is done during the work session, and those are taped. So if you really want to know, it's work sessions that you should watch.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. Does NAACP, do we have our own council?
We do have legal redress.
So I'm asking that because why can't they seek counsel that concentrates on school board laws? What I was talking about earlier with Robert's rules or whatever, but they still have to, be able to answer to the people. So why doesn't our council reach out for counsel?
Well, we have had our council go over those laws. And we've had our council go over those laws. We are currently taking our complaint to the state level. So the way NAACP works is, if a branch has a case that they need to prosecute or wish to prosecute, then they have to take it to the state level. So that the state level can approve it, vote, the AC would vote that yes, we want to move this and assign lawyers to this. And then the national will then take it and assign a lawyer.
So the attorneys are working to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, those things are what happen. And not only just them, but
I didn't hear the question.
no, I was, don't worry. So, we have outside counsel as well. We have more than one eye looking at it. Problem is when, like I said, when it comes to the law and the way the law is written, there's a technicality there, right? And that technicality has to do with the fact that his contract has a stipulation that clause that says that he, that if the dismissal has to do with, like, there's no cause really, it's a no cause, right? It's just convenience, right? When you didn't do anything wrong, it's just irreconcilable differences. Then there's no reason for a hearing, right? So if there's no reason for a hearing, what they're saying is, then we didn't even say anything to you about it.
That's the response from our council.
That's a response from the GCPS's legal department, right?
Based on what our council.
Our counsel says that that's a technicality and that legally they can stand on that. It'll be for a judge to, or that'll be something that they have to dispute, right? Because what we're saying is the school system has a view. Dr. Watts had a view, but there's another group withstanding, and that's the public.
Right.
And the public has been infringed upon. The public has been disenfranchised from the process. It's the public's tax dollars. So in that equation, right, the public has been left out. And so that's what we're asking for. The public should not have been left out. And there should be no way you can make an agreement that excludes the public. But that's an argument that, you know, they have to have. I mean, like I said, we're pushing it as hard as we can. And we're asking people to be as focused as possible on that, because we don't want these things to repeat. But you know how it goes, right? Whenever someone creates those kinds of loopholes, they know that eventually they'll get caught, right? But because it was law at the time, nothing happens. It's always the next person, right? So he gets to slide through. So, you know, so it's whack-a-mole for right now as we go through these laws, but that's why we're saying that we're going to be more intentional about looking at the laws that are being passed and then looking in the weeds to see where there are abuses inherent that can be abused, and then trying to discuss them before they become law. Right. So that's what we're working on.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Just to close out that part of the report. So, yeah, for those who know or don't know, we did file the complaint, as our education care second vice president stated, against the school board, because we felt like it was an Open Meetings Act violation. Based on the conversation we had with counsel or attorneys within the organization, what we was told, they followed the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. So it was a loophole, as John stated, where because it was in the superintendent contract to waive his right to a public hearing, the way the Open Meetings Act is really written, you are able to deliberate on the termination of a public official or officer. However, if evidence is being presented within that hearing, or if there's a public hearing, then that needs to be public because he waived his right as the loophole. So it will be up to the judge to determine, yeah, you filed a letter to tell law, but did you use that as a way to get around from, because the thing is they fired him for convenience, but publicly they're giving performance reasons why he's not here. That was our thing to the attorney general. Hey, they saying it was for convenience, but publicly they're listing reasons why he's not here. And so you're confusing the public, which what the Open Meetings Act was designed to not do, is to confuse the public why you spent $750,000. You know, one of the things that brought to my attention is the teacher raises was only, take out what the governor contributed, they only got about a 1.5% to 2% raise, whereas last year they received about a 5% raise from the county. So my thing was the money they would have used to give the teacher that 5% raise just from the county, moving out with the state contributed. Did that money go out the door when they fired, you know, the superintendent? Because they didn't, you know, we got some complaints from a member of our education committee about how the teachers are being underpaid in Gwinnett County compared to Fulton, DeKalb, and some of the other places. And, you know, what I was explaining to her is, hey, you need to present some facts and data, some chart. We'll be glad to share with the committee and with the board about why the teachers are not being properly funded on the same level as DeKalb and Fulton, but you need to present that data. It just can't be, we want more money. You have to show where, hey, these counties are very similar to us, size and scope, and in a lot of ways we're bigger than a lot of these other counties, but they're similar. You know, why are paid the same as APS or DeKalb or Fulton? So saying all that to say, that's just where it's at. It's just gonna take some work with the state elected officials about tying up that loophole in the law that apparently their board attorney has found, and making sure that, because that law not only affects the school board, that law governs the county commission, fine the county admin, it governs the city council, fine the city manager, and tax dollars having to be paid. So that is a loophole in the law that can be exploited by other entities, whether it's the county commissioners, the city council, school board. We just need to find a way to tie that loophole, because we don't need people saying, putting that clause in people's contract as a way to say, okay, we know we really fired you for something else, but because we don't want to talk about it in public, we just gonna say we fire you because we got the ability to fire you, and that's it, and we ain't gotta have no hearing, it's over. And then the public is left to pay the fees that happens with that. So moving off of that, we'll move forward with the next committee report. Go with our Freedom Fund chair, Jack LaRon, first vice president, with us June report on the Freedom Fund committee. Well, actually, July report. Did June last year. All right.
Evening, everyone. Screen here. So we met yesterday, and we had a roll call. There was about 8 of us that got together. But actually, we had a sign up, and with that sign up, we ended up having about 20 people on the committee now. So thank you for your response. If you're on the committee, raise your hand. There you go. Everybody else have a good part here. So awesome. So thank you for taking part of this. And the key to that, I will keep reiterating that until we all get it, is that our purpose is, as an organization, is to fight for social justice for Black and Brown people. And as a result, when we have this Freedom Fund, every unit, there's about 2,000 units across the nation, including plus the state conferences, as well as the National Convention. There's a Freedom Fund banquet, and every single time it's about raising funds so that we can do the work that we do, such as what our second VP was talking about for education and so forth. Because without the funding, it's really a lot of bark, but no bite. So understand that this is about making the work that we do to have some teeth in it. So when we met last night, we discussed the follow-ups to our honorary chairwoman, Chairwoman Nicole Hendrickson has approved our sponsorship packet. And she provided us with a support letter, basically a recommendation letter speaking of our history and the work we do, so that we can have that attached to the sponsorship letter as we fundraise with the different corporations and businesses and individuals. And she has not only pledge of support, but as of today, she has started sending that information out to help support us to raise funds. Then we reviewed the different things such as the flyers and information so that we can make sure that the proper information are given to people with QR codes and links and so forth. Then from there, we got into discussion with subcommittees. Corporate Solutions Committee, which is being led by President Paul and myself, and we have our treasurer and assistant treasurer, so that we can ensure that we can raise the funds and track the funds properly. We have a group of corporations that we are approaching, and we're still adding to that list. And we contact these businesses with the sponsorship letter, along with the recommendation letter that we have now. Then we have our church solicitation committee, which is being led by our very own Linda Tyler. And the letter is finalized and is being sent out to the churches throughout the community to get the support so that they can purchase tables or pledge their sponsorship. So if you are at your church and you have influence in your church and can go up to the pastor and say, "Pastor," and you know the Freedom Fund is about to happen. So just assist us in that manner. Then we have our program and entertainment committee, which is being led by Tiger and Dante Shroud. One and only. And so we're still working through the details of getting an MC, DJ, and performers, and getting a runner show together. So we're working through that in that subcommittee. And we have the logistics committee, whose role is to make sure that everything that's needed, whether it's a screen or whatever else, that all that is available for the work to be done. So they're working on that. And then we just created awards in acknowledgements committee. We have a few people that have signed up for that. So thank you for making that happen. And also the ticketing management committee to monitor how the ticket sales are going, what needs to be done to be adjusted, so we can have everybody be able to come to the event and be well seated and have a really nice evening. So we covered those things. And in addition, we made sure, again, back to Shante, that our AXO chair, that our kids that went to national for the AXO competition. Can we give a hand applause for that one? You always have me the kids, you know. So that they get an opportunity. One of Hazel's gonna display her photos there, you know, and Alexis gonna get the opportunity to perform her poetry. So we're gonna make sure that the event is an event to remember. That as an organization, we've been around since '72 with NAACP. But with that, we've had many years that we could be prouder of. And the intent under President Paul is to ensure that when the name NAACP, when that is mentioned, that they know we're serious and we mean business. And so as such, this is to elevate the standard, elevate the level. And as you can see throughout the different committees, that's being elevated. It's being elevated to AXO, it's being elevated to education, it's being elevated to the PAC committee and so forth and so on. But this is a moment where we get to take a moment to pause and look back on what we did, look forward to what we're going to do, and we'll come together and raise some funds so that we can continue to do the work. So that is the purpose of this event, and that's our report. So thank you so much. Any questions? Any questions?
Date of the event and location.
Date of the event, September 20th, 2025. It's a Saturday. It'll begin at 6 p.m. Okay? And the location is at the Buford Community Center.
And for those in the room, because those online, see it literally 5 tickets.
Absolutely. The tickets can be bought at naacp.org/events. Okay. And we are, you're able to buy a table, you're able to buy a ticket. Now, next week, the individual tickets are going up from 150 to 175. However, the table price will remain the same. So, I just want to be sure, because that's on the, is it next week? Yeah, today's the 25th, yeah. On the 1st of August, that price is going up, okay? So, go get your ticket now. I'm telling you, I'm doing another event that's happening this Saturday. People are texting me right here as I'm speaking. Do you have a ticket to take the table there? Listen, I don't want you to be that person. You should get your ticket right away. Any questions about the event? None, Don?
No.
You sure? Going once? Twice? Okay. Thank you.
And just, the bit.ly link that we use is kind of like a shorthanded link to buy your tickets is bit.ly/NAACP FFB 2025. So that's bit.ly, bit.ly, NAACP FFB 2025. Go there, you can buy your tickets, or you just go to NAACP.org, go to our events page and buy your tickets off of there. It has been corrected. So it's Madam Chair for our AXO committee can come up and give her report from June. AXO stands for Afro Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics, which is our shorthanded way. That's our art and STEM competition. So this committee runs that for the youth. So as Jock already stated, we did have some young people that competed in AXO in Charlotte, but I'll let her give her June report there.
Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Look good out there. Oh. That does look good. Can I take a picture of y'all real fast? I'm sorry. I'm a picture person. Let's see. Y'all look good. Oh, y'all look good. Okay. Okay, I'm coming. I'm sorry. Let me get to my notes. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm taking this up. Okay, so for June, the overview, during the month of June, the AXO committee, we was actively engaged in preparing for the NAACP National AXO competition. It was scheduled for July the 9th through the 14th in Charlotte, North Carolina. The committee, we focused on the students, recognizing the students that actually won the competition to move forward. The final, we also did fundraiser. We did 2 fundraisers. We did Juneteenth, and then we also that was 2. Yeah, we did Juneteenth. Yeah, and then we also had the link the way you can actually donate online. So for that meeting, we had President Powell, myself, Adonis McClure, Alex Williams, and then the youth advisor, Reese, that was actually present in this meeting. The activity of the meetings is, like I said, it was June 8th, 2025. The time was at 7:30 to 8:30. Well, we provided the fundraiser updates, which I go online. If you went online to donate, it said $5,000. But our goal was really 2,500. We were just trying to raise a little bit more for any other things that came upon us, like little hiccups, or to just move us forward for the following year. So we ended up raising $1,913. While there was still a gap, but we was really close, and we still was able to do what we needed to do for the kids for the competition. Plans was made to participate in the Juneteenth as the fundraiser opportunity to eliminate the actual branded items such as cups and keychains, which we sold out of cups. It was a big hit. The lemonade was a big hit. And we had like the last meeting that we had here, we also gave out the medals to Alexis, which was the poetry performer, as well as Hazel, and she did photography. And a motion was made by Advisor Reese Walker to establish the second Sunday, but we actually just changed that for our meeting. So we actually voted on the third Sunday. So we actually voted again. So we actually meet every third Sunday at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7:30 for AXO. Any questions? You want to talk about AXO? You want to have an AXO? You want to hear about what? Yes. Okay.
How did the students, what was their feedback on their experience and their event? You know, I know they do like abuse and stuff, but just as you talk to a person.
Huh.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, you can talk. Well, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna get you a brief. The rest of it gonna be on Wednesday. So the kids actually loved it. They enjoyed it. They are actually ready to go again for next year. The feedback was great. Boys, the way they had everything set up, it was nice. Any other questions?
Can you do that actual competition on?
Yes, they actually had it's also it's on YouTube as well. Mhm. And then we still have content that we're gonna be uploading as well. We have plenty of content. Yes,
the age group.
it's 9th grade to 12th grade. Mhm.
And when you do view it on YouTube especially for the AXO Awards ceremony, you'll notice that just as you see the NAACP, whether it's the Image Awards on television or any of their other award show, it was about 4 hours. Phenomenal format. The presenters, it was laid out just like that for these, they call them champions. And it was just really phenomenal. And the same way you see it on television with the presenters, the people coming out, all that, that's how you also will view it when you see it on YouTube. So it was just like wonderful experience and very, like, I can't say enough about it. It was wonderful.
I would say I feel like everybody should experience that. From the youth to adults. I think even as us being adults, we can still learn a lot from our young champions. From the way that they carry themselves, the way they loved on each other, the unity, the respect for one another, the love in general. It was all there. They definitely show Black excellence. Yes.
Yes, so with that experience, is there any plans, like for example, those kids that wanted to become like ambassadors to enroll the next group of kids to go next year and future years?
So with that being said, you jump in the gun, as President Powell would say. You jump in the gun. That's gonna be in our next meeting. We'll actually be talking about that. But yes, they will have a lot of input.
Okay.
Anything? Okay, you play.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think we got one more officer this year. So the Mayor DeWeese, you come up and give us the health committee report. If you don't mind. Yeah, just lost it.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wait a minute, I just lost the chair. Okay. My name is Deweese, Gamel Deweese. I am new to this position, not new to this behavior health thing that was asked to be a part of. I'm humbled to be here, and I'm happy to be here. I've been doing health and wellness for over 3.5 decades, from New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, down in here. So I'm very familiar with health and wellness, mental health, and behavioral health. But again, I'm new to this position, and I'm very humbled and happy to be here. Going forward, I'm going to do the best I can to assist those that I need with any kind of health or behavioral or mental health problems in Gwinnett County. I'm reading from the committee meeting from June 26, 7 p.m. The body was opened up and a roll call was called. It was approval by Stacy, Shaniqua, Latoya, and Theresa. The beginning of the meeting, we talked about previous meetings. Stacy mentioned and suspended the reading of the May minutes and accepted the June minutes. The motion was seconded by Theresa, Shaniqua. Motion was unanimously approved. Old business. We talked about materials for committee members attending the National Convention. Members were advised to check the official app for update schedules through some technical difficulties were noticed. A press conference regarding the Jillian Evans Jones case around Friday at 11 a.m., the Freedom Fund banquet, and scheduling for the Freedom Fund banquet on September 20th at 6 p.m. Members were encouraged to purchase tickets early to ensure a successful event. New business was Georgia's HB 268 bill. This is a bill that was passed recently that makes a lot of difference in the healthcare and the mental health and behavioral health field. That discipline has been changed around and has been talked about over the last 6 months, but now it's come to full fruition that they have changed a lot of things in there that has pros and cons. I said I will give the committee the paperwork that I have to go over it, so we can have a discussion on it on our next meeting. Members was encouraged to attend a general meeting, bring additional ideas. Questions were raised about press conference format, no Zoom link, to be streamed on Facebook or held outdoors. Announcements were made regarding upcoming presentations by Dr. Jai, which is Alzheimer, Dr. Hicks, with STDs. Member was asked to suggest dates for both attendance. Unfortunately, Dr. J is out of the country. He has his own practice, but he may be coming back. And I have another substitute. I think Dr. Christina will be coming in talking about Alzheimer's and also the maternity. She'll be talking about that. Haven't set a date for that yet, but we'll be getting that soon for the dates. Motion was passed regarding any May minutes and accept June minutes. All committee members are to review the Georgia HB 268 for further discussions. Members are asked to suggest dates for Dr. J's talk on the subject, but again, he's out of town, out of state. So when he comes back, we'll continue talking about that with. That was the close of our meeting. Last we talked about was Freedom Fund banquet ticket sales, and priority should be actively promoted to get sales so we can have a good function on that day. That's the end of our meeting. Any questions? No questions. Excellent. Y'all have a beautiful night on purpose. Yes, sir.
Do we? I know. All right. So I'm gonna give a couple of the committee reports for some of the chairs that wasn't able to attend tonight. I do want to mention though, we do have an upcoming health committee, sort of like a virtual conversation. So one of the things the committee did when Luis first came health committee chair, we sat down with GNR and went over some of the physical health disparities in the Black community and compared that to what the Black community at large across the state of Georgia. And so we learned that Gwinnett was trending higher in, I'm trying to go off the top of my head, diabetes, Alzheimer's, gonorrhea, and chlamydia, or STDs. So the sex transmitted disease. And trying to think of the other one. Yes, black women maternity health. So it was trending higher in terms of state average. So strictly looking at data, Black people in Gwinnett County compared to Black people across the state of Georgia, trending much higher. So what we decided, or what they decided as a health committee, Louise and the different members of the health committee, was to bring in subject matter experts, doctors, come in, explain what can we all personally do to protect ourselves and get those rates down. And then from the policy perspective, either myself, Madam Pat Chair, or maybe an elected official may come in and talk about what can be done from a public policy to assist what we can do as individuals. So until we get the policy changed, what can we individually do to kind of get those numbers down? I think high blood pressure too was one of them as well. It was much higher than the state average. So we'll have that data to share again at the next meeting, and we'll share, I think, the upcoming event. And Louise, correct me if I'm wrong, looking at the calendar, is it August 5th, August 3rd? That one of the doctors are going to be speaking.
August 3rd.
3rd. Okay, so August 3rd at 7 p.m. We'll have a virtual event. And forgive me for not having a doctor's name at the moment, but that flyer will be on our Instagram page, Facebook page, everywhere, Twitter page, and she will be coming to speak about diabetes. What can we do individually to get those rates down? Because we're trending. We'll have all those statistics. It'll be flyers that have all those statistics, where Gwinnett is, where Georgia is. So those are some of the things we're working on. We probably going to have another meeting with GNR next month to talk about mental health, because we talked about physical. What are some of the mental health challenges among the Black community in Gwinnett County, and having some discussion around that. But for now, we're kind of focusing on the physical health and trying to get subject matter experts in to give us this information on what we can do to get these numbers down. So, Louise, did you have?
No, name was Dr. Christina Anioli. Christina Anioli.
Yes. So I'm gonna cover the legal redress committee meeting.
I have a question.
Oh,
Do we know the breakdown, the age range, or is that data broken down as far as age range, as far as the, these particular?
No, it wasn't broken down by age range. It was just broken down by comparison to different counties.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I can go back and ask GNR, or go back and look at what they sent us to see if they had the age limit on there. If I had to guess, I'm assuming they're talking about 18 and up, but I'll go back.
Okay.
I can't go back and ask. So let me hang on. Pulling a report for legal redress, but I see he sent it originally with the wrong date. So bear with me. Hang on 1 second. Let's see. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Here we go. Still. Okay. So I'm gonna ask Madam Assistant Secretary. Is this report the June report, or was it March report? It was? Okay. So I apologize. I ain't gonna read y'all an old report. So what I'll do is, since we've read all the committee reports and both our chairs are not here, and I'm about to get on them about not having their reports, so I'm gonna call them out publicly about not sending their committee reports on time. I'm gonna ask for a motion to accept all the committee reports read. We will have our legal redress chair and membership chair have their June and July reports prepared to be read, or at least submitted to membership at the next committee meeting, but suspend the reading of those reports along with the finance report. For those who don't know, the way, since this is a public meeting and we have people watching online, guests, we do not do finance reports publicly. That's only for membership. So if you are a paid member of the branch, please email secretary@NAACP.org if you'd like a copy of the financial report. Once she verifies your membership, then email it forward to Madam Treasurer, who will send you a copy of that report. So at this time, I have a motion to accept all the committee reports and suspend the reading of the legal redress, membership, and financial report.
Motion.
I second the motion.
Say the motion.
All that you say.
Somebody please say the motion. Darlene, go ahead.
Motion to suspend the redress hearing or whatever.
The reading.
All right. Darlene, please get a motion. We're gonna ignore Tracy.
Sorry.
I make a motion to suspend the reading of the report and not to present the report for the legal redress and the finance report.
Good job.
And
Second.
I said,
Okay.
Second what?
Seconded by,
Second what?
so Assistant Treasurer gave the motion to accept our committee reports and suspend the reading of our legal redress, membership, and finance. Seconded by, AXO Chair, Shante Stroud. Any discussion,
Yes, good job.
please?
since the membership chair is not here and we have about new faces here tonight,
Yes.
should we offer them a membership?
I'm gonna get to that. We didn't get that. But if you do like to join, please go to NAACP.com and sign up. The membership is $30 for adults, $10 for youth. We are running a membership raffle for life subscribing members. To be a life member, $750. They can be paid or broken down into 10 payments of $75. And per year or per month, however you choose to pay out that $750. Every $75 you pay will be a raffle that's be entered into our raffle. Right now, I'll talk more about that. Someone said that there are some changes with the membership, so I'll say more of the discussion about the raffle at the end. Any other discussion?
Second question, did you have any happens with your membership? You know, okay. There's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
They go to our website. Any discussion about these committee reports that we did? No discussion? All those in favor of accepting the remaining reports, say aye. You opposed? All right, it's unanimous. All right, so moving on to the business of our branch. So we'll start with our old business. Let me pull up our meeting agenda. And everyone should have a copy of the agenda that was sent out by the secretary. So to start our meeting, first of all, I do want to acknowledge our officers. Forgot to do that at the beginning of the meeting, but I'll do it now. So as I call your name, please raise your hand. Start from the back as I see him. Assistant Treasurer, Madam Assistant Treasurer, Darlene Wilkerson. AXO Chair, Shante Stroud. Madam Assistant Secretary, Shanika Walker. Madam Treasurer, Princess Hawkins. First Vice President and Freedom Fund Chair, Jack Laurent. Second Vice President, Education Chair, John Cox. Youth Advisor, Reese Walker. Political Action Committee Chair, or PAC Chair for short, Ellie Walker. And Health Committee Chair, Camille Delise. So can I get a motion from the floor to accept the minutes from our general meeting in June and suspend the reading of those minutes as it is formatted on the agenda?
I make a motion to suspend the reading of the meetings with them. And then
I guess motion given by Assistant Secretary. I get a second.
I second, I don't need McCormick second.
Seconded by Dominique McCormick. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes from our last meeting and suspending the reading since the video is archived on our YouTube page, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. So update on our branch compliance. So we did have to go back and do our annual financial report with our national office for 2020. What year was that, Madam Treasurer? 23? They asked us to redo. So we had to redo 2023 because some kind of way they lost our paperwork. But our branch is back in compliance. So we went to the national office. We was able to officially vote as delegates. And when we go to the state conference in October, we'll be able to officially vote as delegates. So we are back in compliance as far as that's concerned. Any questions around that before I move on to new business? Okay. So new business, we're gonna at this time have an update, and I'm gonna kind of put a limit on y'all because I'm watching the clock. So y'all got about 3 minutes to come up here and tell us about your experience at the National Convention. Since our committee chairs have talked a little bit, I'm gonna start with the members that went and not any executive committee members. So at this time, yield the floor to Dominique, since she's looking like she's ready to say something about her experience at the convention.
All right, so I'm Dominique McCormick, and I attended the National NAACP Convention last week as a delegate. It was a wonderful experience. I began by witnessing the award ceremony for the AXO, which that really excited me to where next year I'm certainly going to be there for the AXO portion of the convention. The actual convention itself, it was great. I think the presenters, I think the commentators, the moderators that they chose for the different types of presentations that they were putting on was really good as well. It definitely exceeded my expectations. They put Charlotte, as far as it goes for me, they chose an area that it was very convenient for you to be able to get to the convention center and be able to conveniently walk back and forth to your hotel. They also had a hub site there where you can purchase certain items that are NAACP related, such as, like I have this pen right here, but there were also other things by local vendors or vendors that are not actually local. And it was just really, really great being there with all of the other branches and being able to understand. And if you really don't know Robert's Rules of Order, that was where you were going to learn about Robert's Rules of Order. And when you're out of order, you might get cut off, or turn the mic off, or you speak so well, you're out of order. And then also I can appreciate how they were also emphasizing how the rebranding of how the organization is being presented as NAACP versus how we have, of course, known it as the NAACP, but of course we want to emphasize that it's the NAACP, and this is our Gwinnett County, this is our branch. We're not chapters. So it was a great experience. I am ready for Chicago next year and Long Beach in 2027. So it was wonderful. It was great. Yes, I enjoyed it.
Thank you. So I
All right, so we keep going down the line with our different delegates. Dr. Tidwell, you turning your head, so instead of calling your husband up there, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call him and let him talk, but you kind of gave the game away. So I'm gonna let you come on up and talk about your experience as a delegate. For those who don't know what a delegate is, you're elected to be a delegate that allows you to represent our organization as a voting member at the National Convention. So you get to vote on who the new national board members are, any resolutions or policies that we're trying to pass, you're a voting member for that. So that's part of your delegate. So come on up, Dr. Tidwell, and talk about your experience.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I knew I should have went through that. So yes, the first thing is we arrived in Charlotte and found that the National Convention wasn't walking distance. So I was able to get my steps in. I love that. I love being able to walk. And as we were walking to and from the convention, just to see other people from different branches, different states walking, they'd see you on the street, and it was like a fellowship, a family, if you will. I really appreciated that. I really love the fact that they had so many different varieties of plenary sessions because Edward was texting us, telling us that we had to be at such and such place. And I was like, no, I ain't going to that one. I want to go to this one. So for me, it was very educational to be able to go to the different plenary sessions. They had something for everybody. So you were able to learn different aspects of what the NAACP is doing across the country. Also, they really emphasized, although we are separate as far as branches and states, and we repped our state, I think, very well. We repped our branch very well. But I think that Georgia was very well represented. I think we had one of the highest number of delegates out of all of the states, which is really, really good. Also, again, being able to, I guess, see people that you see on TV at the national level, to be able to see them in person and see that they really do cut up and act the fool in person, just like they do on TV. And actually, you got to see more of it. Dominic is right. There was a whole lot of out of order, which was hilarious. We said we're going to get some NAACP t-shirts that say you're out of order. We heard that a lot. Right, that's right, that's right. And we were making jokes. To be a delegate and to have an opportunity also to participate in the resolutions was very enlightening. I don't think I've ever looked that in depth into some of the causes and effects of the NAACP. So to be able to study that 101-page document and literally go through it, and of course, you know, being the person that I am, I'm not going to read all of that. I put it in AI and say, give me a synopsis of all of these. Tell me what it is we're about to be voting on. And then I pass that around so that everybody else could do that too. But it was a really, really great experience. I said I wasn't going back anymore when we were locked down doing the resolutions. I was like, they ain't going to let us out. But they did let us out. We could get up and walk around. But I am looking forward to going back next year in Chicago and having more representation from the Gwinnett County branch of the NAACP people. Yes. All right. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna keep it going. It's Linda Tyler. You know I was gonna get your copy. So you should get ready to get on the fence.
Good evening. I'm Linda Tyler, and I was a delegate also for the convention, and I hadn't been to the convention in years. When I got there Sunday, I got there right in time, and I was on the right aisle to see our youth come down the aisle. Okay, it was over 2,000 kids. Would you say? Okay, they participated from all over the different states. Okay, of course, Louisiana was the one that came in with the umbrella and danced on down the aisle like they do at the Mardi Gras. That was exciting, but the kids were very excited, all of them from every state, and that was Sunday. The welcoming reception was really nice too. We got a chance to go to different food stations and get food. Now I'm a Baptist, and when you go to convention as a Baptist person, what they talk about, the food was good, okay? So the food was good, and it was a real nice reception. Monday morning, we started off with the plenary sections as just stated, and it was really nice to be able to meet people from other units as well. Branches, not units, branches as well, okay? And to learn how they do the things that they do in their branches, okay? It's always good to meet new people and to get the ideas and suggestions that they do. So it was a very good time. I'm glad that I wanted to delegate. I planned to go anyway, but somebody wanted to make sure I was going to be there. So I appreciate the opportunity that this branch gave me to go as a delegate. I didn't have a ride home because I was coming back from some other travel, and I want to thank my friend John Cox for bringing me back home safely. Okay. But as we stated, we do encourage you to go. It was very enlightening. I didn't know that I should have went to the membership session, but I didn't. Okay. But next time I know to go be a part of that because I'm on the committee. I'm not
It's on the committee. Yes. It's straight, but it's on the committee. I'm a supporting member of the NAACP and I'm working on my life membership, okay? And so that's exciting also because you get to see a lot of different things and different people and different opportunities that set before you. And I give you a little bit more choice to experience, and I got the other word. I picked up too many thoughts going on in the head right now. One thing that I do want to bring back to the unit, they said it's important to be in the room, but when you're in the room, speak up so people know that you're in the room. Okay, so that's very important. Because a lot of times we always go to meetings and we just sit back and be quiet and don't say anything, but nobody knew you was there. But if you speak up and ask questions, and say you want to be a part of it, they go like, oh, I remember her. I don't remember her name, but I remember what she said. Okay, so that's very important to not just be in the room, but be a part of the conversation. Thank you.
Right. Watching the clock, y'all. So for the sake of time, because I know we got a hot topic to talk about, it may take up a little time. I'm gonna let one more delegate speak about their experience. Brother Cox, let him come up there.
All right. So first, I really enjoyed the convention. One, because it was good to be around a lot of people that I didn't know, who had the same sort of focus and determination and love for the beloved community. To see the work that was being done across the country, the resolutions. I struggled with some of the resolutions, to be quite frank, but that experience let me know how these resolutions are created and how the NAACP gets their marching orders and how we contribute to developing the marching orders. So it was very interesting to know that. I can say we worked hard, long, they fed us well. And when it was time to party, oh, it was world class. The band, the musicians, the production, it was world class. So when you look at those image awards, you go back and you look at the NAACP's channel on YouTube, you will see that it was great. I hope we put a lot of that content on our page and you can see it. I happened to catch the youth, our youth group, our actual group coming in, marching down the line. And you can tell this was their first year because everybody else had routines. Our guys was watching the other routine. Right? So I had to say, hey, look, give me a little movement. But it was really nice to see the kids being celebrated. It was nice to see the performances when the transition between awards. So the kids got a chance to show you what they can do and how professional. I give you this. Black people will stop the show. If you do something really, really good, they will stop the show and say, no, we got to stop this. We got to acknowledge what we just seen. And there was a dancer who, if you go back and watch, you'll see they stopped the show. There was a performance by a dancer who was accompanied by a viola and I want to say a cello. And they brought those kids back out and gave them their moment in the sun. It was that good. It was that good. So the talent that we have and celebrating the talent was really, it touched me. I thought it was nice that they thought of things on a micro level to such, like everybody was saying, it was very close proximity to everything. They had the bus schedule was such that you didn't have to wait. That bus was there most of the time within 5 minutes. If you wanted to take the bus, so you hopped in and hopped on, things like that. A bunch of notes from some of the workshops, but I won't go into those because of course I take my notes. Of course, I'm up here when I'm doing things and trying to learn. Met some people from our state, connected with our state education chair while I was there, thanks to Jock. And just yesterday, we had a meeting with a lot of the members, a lot of the education chairs across the state. So it's good to make those connections. It's good to see different people. And it was just so many people just stopping me, and I stopped a few people to shake hands and appreciate their service just because of the way they presented themselves, comported themselves, and the materials that they were presenting on our behalf. So trying to be brief, but I want to say one thing. At the end, NAACP is trying to conquer this thing about climate change and things like that in our community. And some of the things that they were talking about, where my notes were centered on, was how these types of spillages and chemical events are happening in our neighborhood, and how those dangerous plants and things like that are being built in our neighborhoods, and talking about how to defend ourselves against those sorts of things. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with what happened in Conyers earlier this year. So it's things like that, and making sure we're well represented to clean up this problem. Keeping our focus on that, our drinking water and things like that, these things. When disasters happening, stuff like that, because I think it's Klein that wrote a book that had this called The Shock Doctrine that deals with that sort of thing. But once again, let me stop before I get into it. But I really enjoyed it.
All right, we got time to squeeze one more. So I'm gonna let Deweesha want to go. So Deweesha don't want to talk about his experience. So we're gonna keep it moving. So let me I'll pivot to the next agenda. Hang on a second. I'll let you talk about it the next day.
It was a good experience just at that hotel. Like I said, but besides that, everybody said it was really, very informative for me. Very eye-opening what we do and why we do it. So I definitely want to return everything I can.
Thanks, bro. So the next agenda item is update on the change to the Civil Life memberships. So as I stated earlier, as far as our Civil Life membership, we are running a raffle where if you pay the $75 for what we call a subscriber life, which means you're subscribing to a life membership, you'll enter into a raffle. Raffle has 3 prizes if you win. First place is a laptop. Second place is $100 voucher. I'm going on top of my head. It's a Flavor Rich and an AFC gift card, so it's like dinner and a movie. And then third place is Painting Quick, so date night with Painting Quick. So married, friend, other sister, y'all want to hang out and Twitch, y'all can go there, paint, do art, and things like that. So you get a voucher to that. So those are the first, second, and third place prizes for those. We'll announce the winners at the Freedom Fund Banquet as part of that event. So I have a little machine that can hold the little things around, and we'll pull out the names for first, second, and third place at the event. Somebody in here will handle that. I'm not going to be bothered. I don't need y'all saying I cheated or anything like this. I'm gonna let one of the members handle announcing all of that or rolling it or something. We'll get it coordinated with one of the subcommittees on the Freedom Fund. So, but the life membership starting January 1st in 2026 is going up from $750 or 10 payments of $75 to $1,000. Do not know if that's going to also affect our regular annual membership, which is currently $30. Or any of the additional membership tiers like the youth being $10. Don't know if, or youth life membership, junior life membership being $100 or the bronze being $500. I don't know the impact of the other life memberships or annual memberships, but I do know for certain the silver life membership will increase from 10 payments of $75 or $750 total to $1,000 or 10 payments of $100. Keep in mind, like I said, with life memberships, they can be paid monthly, they can be paid annually, they can be paid bi-monthly, however you choose to pay it, it could be paid in 2 payments. All those payments are calculated and added up. The assistant secretary stepped out, but the system is tracking your payments as you make them. So that is the change with the Civil Life membership. If you start your Civil Life membership in 2025, it will be locked in at $750. So you won't be on the $1,000. It is anybody that starts their Civil Life membership effective January 1st will have to pay minimum of $100 and total 10 payments of $100 in order to pay off Civil Life membership. You start it now, you know, you can enter into the raffle. So I would say if you consider the Civil Life membership, do it now. Right? We got this raffle going on. So, and if you're already a member now, so let's say, hey, I just joined March of this year. The secretary has already been instructed if somebody upgrades from a regular membership to a life membership to just add an additional year for you for your membership. So we won't prorate $30 you paid. We'll just give you an additional year. So if your membership would have expired, you started, became a member, or renewed your membership in March of 2025, and it was going to expire March 2026, and you say, okay, I want to go ahead and upgrade to a Civil Life membership, she'll just say, okay, now your membership expired March 2027. And then she'll add the additional time on as you continue to make your membership payments until your Civil Life membership is paid off. So questions around that before I move on to events? Okay, questions. So upcoming events, as Luis already stated, we do have a health sort of like forum or virtual event where one of the doctors is going to come in and speak about diabetes, what we can do to get those rates down in Gwinnett County, and we'll provide our different statistics at that particular event. Dominique, I'll try to get some more information about the age range that you asked for. And also, as Jock already stated, we have our upcoming Freedom Fund event, which will be September 20th at the Beaufort Community Center at 6 o'clock. Tickets is $150 per ticket. It is going to increase. I need to talk to the committee about changing the increased date to maybe a month out from the actual event. So we'll have that conversation offline about maybe moving that day to give people a little bit more time. Because I know how y'all black folks do. Y'all wait till the last minute to buy y'all tickets. So I'm going to give y'all till, hopefully the committee will accept it. Give y'all till August 20th to get them tickets before they go up to $175. I'm going to try to give y'all a little more time. I already heard from my treasurer today that they apply to me. So we're going to try to give y'all a little more time to get y'all tickets. Other events that we got coming, as Madam Pac Chair Walker stated, we are looking at doing a town hall focused and centered around what's current events, what's happening with the Big Ugly Bill and everything, all the other nonsense that is happening. The goal of the town hall is really to motivate people to vote. Hear whatever the concerns and complaints are in the community, whether it's local concerns, whatever those concerns are, give people a chance to make statements, make comments, ask questions. But the goal is really to connect public policy to what's happening on the ground. Because I've been hearing a lot of stories, you know, about different things. I heard one story about a young lady who, you know, she wanted to, I think her baby miscarriage, and doctors didn't want to do the miscarriage because of this new abortion, because of the amount of time it had expired past that. So she had the baby had to naturally matter, which caused a lot of pain, a lot of, a lot of health complications. With that, I'm sure y'all know about the story about the young lady who, I think she was dead and he had to wait for her to deliver the baby. So all of these things are kind of happening in our community. And so the goal of these town halls, and right now all the dates are tentative. We're going to try to get a date locked in for October. It'll be in Norcross. In October, somewhere around maybe January, February, we'll have another one, which will be in Snellville, one in Livermore, which will probably be around May, and then a final one in Lawrenceville in October. So we'll try to do 4 of them, different speakers in each one, different topics we'll talk about in each one. But the main goal is getting the community, find out what the issues are, and then connecting what's happening with a lot of these bills with public policy and how we just don't need to advocate our vote and not vote. Because we, for whatever reason, in our community, we're targeted with not voting, don't vote. The only group that get told we shouldn't be voting. Everybody else don't get told that for some reason we got people in our community telling our people not to vote, and we need to we need to understand the power of the ballot. And how much impact it's had in our community. So the goal of all of these town halls is not to wait until it's election time to get in the community, tell them to vote. We're going to get in the community, tell you why you need to be voting now. And here's the consequences as we see them in real time. You staying at home and not, because we have a huge election next year and this year. We have city council races, mayoral races this year if you live inside the city limits. And we have a public service commissioner race, which is a statewide race. But if you don't live inside the city limits, you can participate and vote in that particular race. And those people have an impact on these high electric bills, gas bill, water bill. That's what the public service commissioner regulates, as well as broadband access. So if you got people that live in rural parts of the county, you live in rural parts of the county, or the state, they regulate what internet providers that you have access to in those areas. So again, that everybody needs to be participating. Public Service Commission is one of those elections where, regardless of where you live or what district they serve, you vote for all 5 people. So anytime they're on the ballot, you get to choose everybody that's running for Public Service Commission. So if District 2, District 3, you get to vote for both of them. No matter what county that it's aligned to. So really have to look at Public Service Commission as all 5 of those people represent me, because I have the ability as a voter to put all 5 in office. So that town hall, like I said, the first one will probably take place roughly around October. It's education chair, and also our legal redress chair is not here. They're both doing events. Education is going to do one on education. Legal redress is going to do one on Know Your Rights, a Know Your Rights campaign. I will say, because of the changes to the process of how we have to get approval for these events from our national office, that all committee chairs that are going to be doing the events this fall, please try to have dates locked in by our next general meeting, so that can be submitted to the state conference and national office for approval, so that we can get those events on the calendar and get them going. A couple other things that we've been working on as an organization. Rose Jordan is an early voting precinct or election day precinct. It has been a voting precinct in general for some time. The Political Action Committee, we've spoken to the election supervisor about why there's no signs at that precinct. So I will be making a public statement at the Wednesday at the August border registration and election meeting, complaining about why every election cycle, odd number, even number, there are not enough signs. We've been told that signs have been ordered. We were told that for this past election for Public Service Commissioner, and yet our PAC chair went out there to check the signage. There was still no signs. So as I explained to the election supervisor, either this is a form of voter suppression. I just don't know which suppression. I don't know if it's coming from you all at the top. Y'all not sending them the signs, even though y'all saying it's been ordered. I don't know if the people, once they get the sign, they just not putting them out. But either way, people are bypassing the Lawrenceville location, which is where Rose Jordan is, at the end of 124. So if you're traveling down 124 from Snellville to Lawrenceville, once you stay on 124 till it runs out, running right into Rose Jordan Park. That is typically a voting precinct, and it's way in the back of the park, which is why there needs to be directional signs to let people know that it's a voting precinct. And so it's been, and it's usually empty. And it's usually empty, yes. And again, it was a problem when I was on the Political Action Committee serving as a member. It was a problem when I became PAC chair in 2021. It was a problem in 2022 when I was first vice president and PAC chair. And 5 years later on the president, and it's still a problem. So I don't know what the issue is, but we're gonna get to the bottom of what the issue is, and it will be brought to the Board of Registration and Election attention. And like I told them, we're not gonna wait till 2026. We have a major election for governor and secretary of state and attorney general to get this problem fixed. Probably gonna be fixed yesterday. So just want to bring it to you all attention because it is a problem. Final thing I'm gonna cover before I let one of our guests come up and talk about an issue that ties into health. A couple of takeaways from the convention for me since I was there. It was my first convention. As many have already stated, the AXO award ceremony, which is on the NAACP YouTube page, y'all can go there and watch it. A lot of the preliminary stuff is on the YouTube page as well. A lot of energy. It's definitely great to see our young teams highlighted for their academic achievement and their performance. It was beautiful to see them perform. Just the whole event was great. The biggest takeaway for me from the convention as far as the workshops that we had to go through, and me in particular, is we have to build local and state power. Now, we have a hostile House, we have a hostile Senate, we have a hostile felon in chief in office in the executive branch, because I'm not going to call them people. So we have a hostile felon in chief in the executive branch. And so the only way to protect ourselves from this hostile administration, the marching orders from our national office was we have to start controlling who serves on city council, who serves on mayor, who's serving at the county level, and who's running the state. More equal as important, but I would say a little bit more important. For those who know our history in the past, when we made gains in the 60s with the civil rights bills in the 60s, the state apparatus has always usurped any federal. It happened during Reconstruction when 13, 14, and 15 Amendment was passed. Once again, for those who know that history, that power was taken away because they used state, Andrew Jackson. I think I got the right Andrew because both of them were, white nationalists, but I think I got the right one. I think it was Jackson, never Johnson, but don't quote me. It's one of the racist Andrews. But one of the Andrews, when they was president, they gave power back to the states. So they pulled the federal troops out of the South. We lost our electoral power in the state and state legislatures. And they took back control of the state and they started usurping all of the laws that was passed through the 13, 14, 15 Amendment. So the marching orders from the national office is we have to mobilize and organize for local elections and also state elections. So I just want to, so this is why we're doing this town hall, because we know it's never a lot of energy the way it need to be for midterm elections, state elections, always energy around presidential elections. We want to create a sense of urgency for our local and state elections. The theme from the convention was the fierce urgency of now, which was a quote from Dr. King when he was saying that, we can't no longer wait to address, the problems of poverty or joblessness or public education. We have to do it now, not tomorrow, but right now. So that's where we at. That's the sense of urgency we got to bring to these local elections this fall and also state elections in 2026. So with that being said,
Dr. Walker. Was it Dr. Walker?
yes, Reverend Walker did win re-election as our national board member. He's actually in Georgia now. So I do want to make that quick announcement. It's one that had our branch reactivated, made the call to get us back active. So I want to congratulate him on his re-election. And at this time, I'm done with all of my updates and reports. Only other thing I will say, we'll be working on resolutions for 2026 as an organization. I don't see a lot of international global perspective from our national branch. As far as resolutions, that we have to change that. There's a lot happening globally, and white supremacy is a global structure. And the only way you're going to fight it, you have to have a global perspective. I look around the room and I see we got a lot of people of African descent from all over the world or have roots from all over the world. And so when we have that, we have to have a global perspective in our fight. We can't just fight this battle inside of the corner of the 50 states, corner of the United States. This has to be a global fight. And there's a lot of things happening globally. I was a little disappointed not to see more global resolutions, but trust and believe between myself and Jacques, Darlene, and John, and the rest of you, we will try to put some more international perspective in terms of resolutions. And we need some additional resolutions for anything that's domestic. So I would encourage you all go to the National NAACP website or Google NAACP resolutions. Look at the different resolutions that are there. If you see things that are, you feel like that are problematic, or, hey, I think that needs to be changed, or I don't necessarily agree with their stance, please come into the different committee meetings. Let's have that discussion. Come to the general meeting and let's have that discussion, because we're going to be looking to put some resolutions in place, at least by, I would say, probably by our March general meeting 2026, we're going to look to approve any resolution, and we'll probably start that work on them by the end of the year, probably around November. No, I'll say November, December, when the election is over, we'll start that work and look at resolutions. So this time, we'll go to Kate, and she's going to talk about, at least give us an update on some things happening when it comes to one of these
Fake clinics.
fake clinics that she
Also,
likes to
does
say.
anyone, I need to ask, does anyone have an iPhone charger?
Anybody got an iPhone?
Anyone have an iPhone charger?
The old one?
It's just a, I'm not sure. I think it-
What
yes.
model do you have?
I actually don't know. It's the old, it's the old one.
The old one.
I've got about 7% charge, and I just wanted to make sure I had the facts and figures in front of me first. So just a quick introduction. My name's Kate. I have been involved in reproductive rights activism for the past 3 years. I currently volunteer as a clinic escort at the former Feminist Women's Health Center. They just rebranded it to, I think, Feminist Center for Reproductive Liberation. And I previously volunteered at the Greenville Women's Clinic as well. Also been involved with various groups here. And one thing that is incredibly concerning to me is that there is a group called Obria, which is a national chain of what are called fake clinics. And Gwinnett County is poised to allocate $450,000 to them. And what they do is they will actually mislead and misrepresent what they do to pregnant people and give them false information. They're generally religiously affiliated. So, for example, if you go in and you're like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, they're just gonna like, okay, well, here's various propaganda. So there are public comments that will be accepted via email until 5 p.m. on August 4th. And these fake clinics are also unlicensed and unregulated. So these are not actually medical facilities, and they're not bound by HIPAA laws and are not required to provide factual, unbiased medical information under the First Amendment. In fact, many are run by volunteers and do not actually have licensed medical providers. There was actually a case in, I believe, Kentucky a few years ago where they had probes that were expired, and basically a lot of women got pretty sick and had medical issues from that. But they did recently rebrand as the Georgia Wellness Group, an intentional manipulation to hide their real motive to drive pregnant people away from accessing real reproductive health care, including abortion and contraception. While Obria intentionally tries to paint itself as a neutral healthcare facility, the facts show that this is far from the truth. Their own founding CEO actually made comments showing the company's white nationalist aims. And people in Gwinnett deserve to have real healthcare needs and healthcare that actually trusts and respects them. And with the extreme federal funding cuts that Georgia is facing, it is unconscionable that the county would funnel almost $500,000 of HUD funding to an unlicensed, unregulated fake clinic like Obria. That money could be spent on there are so many better ways to spend that money. So definitely, do you have the email? Do you want me to send you the emails, or do you have?
I got it.
All right, so definitely email. There will be emails. So Mr. Paul will definitely let you guys know where to send the emails and what to write. But please submit public comments by August 4th at 5 p.m. Share everywhere you can and encourage others to do so as well. And let's see what else. Are there any other points?
And did they also have like the home?
They have something about a maternity home. So I did see that. Obria is not one that I am the most familiar with because I did take some time off. I worked on the Harris campaign and then life got insane after that. So I've been in the loop, but not quite as in the loop as I like to be. But they have some sort of maternity home. I'm not quite sure what that entails, but from what I understand, it just looks really shady. And they're definitely better much better ways to spend our tax dollars. Many more deserving organizations. This is not something you want your tax dollars paying for. In fact, under the temporary assistance for needy families, I don't know if you've seen those like Choose Life license plates. So those funds actually already go to these state clinics. So your tax dollars are already paying for it. So do they really need more money? Plus they have various organizations that are extremely anti-abortion, anti-contraceptive, fill in the blank against a lot of anything that doesn't align with their religious beliefs and their niche. And they're already getting tax dollar funding for it. So please, please, please write the county commissioners, let them know you do not want this. As mentioned, there are many other much better places for our tax dollars to go. And from what I understand, they vote on the budget as a, I don't know if you can just clarify. So from what I understand, they vote on the budget as a whole, but basically by August 4th, they'll decide whether or not they want this in there. Yes.
I mean, is there not like legal ramifications to be not licensed and then?
Right. So technically, since they're religious, I know there should be, but technically, since they're a religious organization, it falls under the First Amendment. And in some states, they don't practice medical procedures. They literally, what they'll do in a lot of these facilities, because there was one across the street from the old clinic that I used to volunteer at. So this one isn't across the street from an actual clinic, but what they'll usually do is they'll try to confuse patients. So their website will look like, they usually don't even have a doctor on staff. They might have like a few people who are in positions where the licensing is very low. So like maybe an ultrasound tech. I'm not quite sure what the licensing here is in Georgia, but I know in South Carolina, it was basically nothing, and they're pretty similar. Not quite identical, but pretty similar to what we do here. So they'll have, mostly what they can do is they'll basically just push propaganda. Yes, ma'am.
And so like when I was in middle school, I experienced some of the pregnant young ladies in middle school. There was a place similar to this where it's pushed on religion, and they'll get the girls there and they will keep them there and try to sway them.
Yeah, they'll try to sway them, or they'll maybe they'll try to, let's say, for example, there is somebody who is, on the other end who generally does want to keep her baby and she does want help. They'll say, okay, well, we'll give you diapers, clothing, whatever, but, you're going to have to do these classes, parenting classes, and they're religiously affiliated. And they can say, we're going to do adoption, but for example, let's say it's something they don't agree with. Like, for example, I'm openly LGBT. Let's say, I'm single, kids aren't in the cartoon, but let's say I didn't want to adopt a child. I could be like, hey, I want to adopt a child. They could look at me and be like, no, you're not doing that. So,
It's really scary.
it's terrifying.
And then even speaking with the probe she was just speaking of, I remember even with my first son going to a place like this as well. Yeah, they use, of course I was young.
Yeah.
But they use instruments, and it's now, since I'm in the healthcare field, I know now that they should not have been using, they're still really.
The one I think the ones in Kentucky were, I don't remember, it was a few years ago, but there was a nurse who was basically a whistleblower, and she literally just said, yeah, there were patients who I think it was HPV or something. There was some sort of something along those lines. People got infected because they had expired probes. They do not have the same licensing, but they will literally, you'd think, like if you walked in, I've never been inside one, but I've seen pictures. If you look at their social media, besides maybe sometimes you'll have a few Bible quotes, you would not know the difference. Right. We at my old clinic in Green, where I used to commute up to Greenville like once or twice a month. So like our clinic was here, their clinic was there. They would literally, like for us, the best way for us, if somebody's going to come receive healthcare, if you want to know if the clinic's real or not, look for protesters. If you're looking for somebody in that, because if they will be out there. If they don't have protesters, they're probably not legit. Yeah. Planned Parenthood, anyone, there will at least be one person out there. But it might be like just one person praying or something, which is, fine, but.
Well, my understanding for healthcare is if you're using any kind of anything like a tweezer goes beyond the flesh, it's called surgery.
Yeah,
So they're doing anything on anybody, they have to be licensed, no matter who they are. What they
yeah,
If they're giving out propaganda, they don't have to be licensed because they're not licensed to give out propaganda.
yeah,
If they, under the, in some, that can be anything. You have a full clinic,
yeah,
you can have a mental clinic. If you're doing any kind of a seizure on anybody, but any, you must be licensed. Now, as they go as far as therapy or getting
Yeah.
information on that part, you don't have to be licensed on there either. I'm a professional behavior health professional.
yeah.
I'm not licensed, but I can do certain things up to a clinician. So depending what's going on here, we need to have more.
I think they do
information on
some very basic, I don't know if you'd even say medical, but they might do some very, very basic things, but they're doing a lot more than they should be.
They have to be licensed in two ways.
Yeah,
If they give therapy, it must be at LTC. If they give information, they can be certified. If they're doing any kind of surgery, they must be licensed by the board.
yeah.
So those are the three things that must be done if they do those three things. We need to find out more what they're doing.
Yeah, I definitely do think that's something that needs to be researched a lot more. The other thing
I'm doing one, maybe we will be losing. We can't go on maybe. We must go on, I saw this or I know this
Yeah.
to have a strong case.
Absolutely,
Because people don't say, I think they're doing this, and how do you know?
yeah.
How do you know?
I know
You have
that,
to have concrete information
absolutely, yeah.
to go further.
And I will say another thing too, is a lot of these a lot of places, like, they're called FIC clinics or crisis pregnancy centers. A lot of places, I don't know how much actual, like I said, medical stuff they do. But generally speaking, they have it's basically like a fake doctor's office. So like you go in.
But even the fake doctor, if they're putting themselves as a doctor,
Yeah.
and that's false information. But they have to have a doctor in there.
Yeah.
That's on that product. Now, the doctor thing goes by, PhD, whether you a
I think I remember he's saying that somewhere in another state. Somebody tried to.
I know here,
Yeah.
you go by PhD, that could be several things. You can be a doctor or a school person that got a doctorate in what you're doing. So it depends on, again, on the classification of where you get it from, is what we need to know. Because again, going fighting something, I need to know exactly what I'm fighting and how I'm fighting it. Going on maybe, I don't know, that's a slippery slope.
Oh,
Because one, you don't want to embarrass yourself. Two, you want to give the wrong information. Three, you're fighting somebody like that. Know what they're doing this, what you don't know, you already lost.
Absolutely. I will say that I know that they're definitely religiously affiliated, and their biggest thing is mostly going to be pushing propaganda. They're also generally very well funded by a lot of these anti-abortion organizations, anti-contraceptives. So I know there has been a lot of
lawsuits because they have enough money to put out a lot of propaganda. People can read.
Oh, I think that enough money to put out propaganda. They have lawyers like that. I mean, I know even when I volunteered up in Greenville, we had some very violent protesters, and somehow they always, even, and this is what I've heard from people at other clinics too, like they never really worry about being arrested because they'd always find a way out. They get bailed out.
The loopholes are there.
They find, if there was a loophole, they can find it.
The loopholes are there because if we don't know what they're doing inside, they can always go around it because you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the biggest loophole they have. You can say, they say, yeah, doctor, they say, okay, get it, she's a PhD.
Yeah. That actually, I think that there was a clinic, it was a few years ago, and they, it was in Nebraska, not a clinic, well, some of the protesters outside of one of the abortion clinics there was trying to basically say, hey, I'm a doctor, listen to me. And he was a doctor, but he wasn't a medical doctor.
Right.
So if there is a loophole or a deceptive, anything deceptive, they will find a way.
I think the first thing to do is give us some information that is real.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff like that, and flooding the neighborhood, the mailboxes, the social media neighborhood, so people can understand.
Actually, do you want me to send you the information from Amplify, their fact sheet? Or did you already have it? You didn't have it? I was gonna say, so that definitely needs to be sent out.
Yeah.
And
because that way.
And I just found out about it earlier this week because it was it's my last time. It was either one of the news. It was either the news or AJC. It was one of those platforms, and it was just earlier this week. And so that's where it was just bringing back these memories. And I was like, oh, they're still doing this?
Oh, yeah, they're still there. They outnumber, I don't remember the exact stats for how much they outnumber like actual clinics, but it's significant.
real.
This
Like,
is
I'm
real.
telling you, I experienced it the first time I was in middle school, and then when I was 19 or 18, I had my oldest son. When I turned 19,
Yeah.
the place was right across from the Todd County Library.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, free diapers, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, they usually do like free diapers or free this and that, but there's always a catch.
Right, and so like some of the, like she was speaking of probes, like I was just telling Shantae, like the probes that I'm thinking back to right then, not necessarily surgical, but for the ultrasound, when you're very early in pregnancy, your ultrasound isn't transdermal right there on your abdomen, it's actually intravaginal. So that's
okay, that was what the
so that's
browser,
one
because I was
of the
gonna say, I wasn't quite sure what they're for, but
right.
it's
So
actually good to know.
when she's speaking of like HSV
Yeah.
or HPV, excuse me, thinking about that right there, because you have to deal with aseptic techniques when you're, doing that. So there are sexually transmitted infections that could be transmitted from individual to individual when they're doing that. So again, when I saw that earlier this week, and I thought about dropping it into the legal redress, but I was like, nah, but then you brought it up and it's like, kid you not.
I have been already, it's been less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I've been incredibly obnoxious. Everyone I know on social media, I've just been like, you need to be sharing this and you need to be flooding their inboxes because this is not.
It's not okay.
It's not okay, and especially for our tax. I mean, our tax dollars are already paying for the state, but for
And
the
the
county.
amount of money that there's,
I mean, there are so many other programs, I'm sure, that would actually provide healthcare, actually provide other resources that are needed.
But if they don't know, they don't know.
They don't know, exactly, so you have to let them know.
Problem.
And,
It's not as prominent as they are because they're out there and they're showing everybody on a daily basis. This is why I think my thing in the beginning is showing what's going on, who's where.
Absolutely.
And giving them a map and where to go to ever hand out, again, like they did, walk around and hand it out, put it on people's cars.
yeah, well, I know one thing that we did, well, I wasn't, if it was a slow day, our head defender, when I was in Greenville, because they had a clinic right across the street, we literally had like different, what they'll do at a lot of abortion clinics is they'll actually have like goodie bags with different like paraphernalia, propaganda, whatever, and they try to go push it in cars, hand it to people. Well, they were doing the same thing, but with actual facts about these fake clinics. And they would catch people on the way, drive in, be like, hey, did you know? From what I understand, I have to go look it over. If I remember correctly, I think it's in one of those like medical buildings. I think it's actually the same building as my allergist. I have to research that, so I don't know if that would be the best. But I definitely think this is something we need to raise awareness about because these places are not.
Kate, before you step down, can you, somebody online want to know, well, your name Kate, but they don't know what organization you're with?
I've volunteered with a bunch of different organizations. I'm just here by myself. I have a platform called Abortion Queen of the South where I talk about reproductive rights. It's on Instagram and Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, podcast, Medium, and I just started a Substack. I've literally just started reviving it. I mean, literally like this week. So new content will be coming out and I'm definitely going to be all over this because it's the fact that it's in my backyard and my tax dollars are paying for it. Absolutely not. But some other great organizations are Spark Reproductive Justice, Amplify Georgia, Feminist. It used to be Feminist Women's Health Center. They just rebranded to the Feminist Center for Reproductive Liberation. So if you look at any of those, let's see, Sister Song is another good one, ARC Southeast. There are tons of different organizations in the South doing amazing work. I would definitely recommend keeping up with those. Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so as we bring our general meeting to a close, we will send out more information that we got from other organizations around this. I may try to give it to Lisa if he's got time this week to go by there and try to learn what's going on. I do know they do have certain people are quote unquote licensed within their facility. However, my concern is as a president is when I seen their CEO make comments about, white replacement theory and how, people need to stop having abortions and are going to get replaced by immigrants and Muslims. That was very concerning for me. Again, the organization name was originally Brita. It's been rebranded as Wellness Group. So we just need to do some more deep dive. I will share at least I have my secretary share information we've been sent about the organization, and we'll try to go find out, get some facts about what's going on with the organization as well. I will say, just keep in mind, once again, I spoke to the county about this. Their position as a county is they have to be very careful and tread lightly, especially under this current administration, with how they deny or accept giving out funds for a couple of reasons. Because one, if there was and I always mix up those, so I need to get them right in my head. If there was a pro-choice medical clinic that was for abortions, they couldn't deny them funds if everything checked out and hey, they've been doing this and they're providing the service they say they provide. No different than if it's a pro-life organization, but they're doing what they say they're supposed to be doing, at least according to whatever audits that any nonprofit got to go through to get grant funding from the county. They can't deny them because of a political ideology or belief or whatever. So it's a tricky situation that the county's put in. It's very similar to the school board when it comes to ICE and what they can do, very similar to the sheriff's office, what they can and can't do when it comes to ICE and how far they can cooperate with ICE. They do have to tread lightly with it, because I go back to what I said before, we got a very hostile federal government, and it's impacting some of the decisions that can and can't be made at the local and state level, which is why, go back to what I said at the beginning, we have to control the state and local apparatus, because if we got control over those two apparatuses, then we can start suing the federal government and going to court and say, no, this is unconstitutional. States, just like they always say, states' rights, we can start claiming states' rights. We got a right to not, do what y'all talking about, because we don't agree that this is the best thing for society as a whole. So just keep all of that in mind, because all of that is on the table. That being said, it's 9:22, and we did go over time a bit today, covering the different things. I will say our next, we don't typically meet on the fourth Thursday. Our regular general meeting will go back to second Tuesday. It just got moved because of our national convention. So we'll be back here on August 14th, 7 p.m. The meeting is adjourned.
Yes.